Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of Star Sound Speaks. I have a very special guest today. Yay, Katarinah! This is my dear sister, my soul sister.
Yes, indeed.
We go back thousands of years.
That's right, thousands of centuries, light years.
But we still look fabulous after thousands of years. What moisturizer do you use?
Yeah, we've had light lifts.
I love it. Yeah, those people in Beverly Hills, they don't know what they're missing. Right? Light lift. Anyway, so I'm so excited because, remember in the last episode, I was saying how with the energies coming up for this coming week, January, especially January 17th to the 23rd, that's going to be some of the most intense astrology, profound, that we'll have probably all year. And it'll be a very intense month. And next month too, you'll see some major developments happening. As we have seen in the news, there's been a lot of, with the Capitol rioters and the protesting and all these threats and things about more things that may occur as we get closer to the inauguration and the inauguration day itself. So, that's one, probably maybe in another episode, I'll do the inauguration chart, but the natal chart for the inauguration. But just know, of course, as I've been sharing, how this is a very, it's a fortuitous time. The conflict and the things that we're seeing out in the world are very, well, they're very real. Obviously, we're not going to sugarcoat it. However, there is a bigger reality that's occurring. And one of the things I really got present to as I started the last podcast, number 82, was that this is really all the heavy headlines and the reports about violence and such are really, really ultimately a distraction, because there's something grander occurring. There is this outrageous expansion of consciousness, and we're really at that threshold. So all of the events that happened last year of 2020, the Jupiter-Saturn Pluto conjunction, as the freight train, as I called it, that barreled its way through our world, that has broken apart like a wrecking ball all the toxic structures and things of society that had to fall. But of course, there's a reason for that, right? And now we're stepping into we're on the threshold. So I knew, as I was promising that I'd bring people on the show, we're going to bring back others too, sharing with, tools for transformation, so we can be proactive working with these energies. But I just had to have you on, Katarinah, because of who you are and all the outrageous work you've done mystically, spiritually, in every realm. Actress, producer, you've written a musical.
4 musicals. 3 have been done already.
Okay, right. TV show, you had TV characters. So very creative, but also very much a mystic, a modern mystic. So we're gonna find out more, and she's got some really great things to share, and that's why I brought her on the show. Because the art, we're going to show some of the art and some cosmic experiences. So as I've shared, there are many, astrology is as important as it is to have the birth chart and all. Yes, of course. And there's a whole nother world that it points to. It's like direct experience. I know Terence McKenna talked about that. He said, in a way, it's like he said, it's not about books anymore. He had done tons of ayahuasca, in the jungles for many years before he left the earth plane. When 2000, I think. It's been 20 years, but, he did talk about how it's all about direct experience of the divine. So if anything, my work as an astrologer is to point people to the particulars of what their journey here looks like, but it's really about engaging and coming into one's expanded self, and to have that a direct experience of astrology. Yeah, that's not where most people go with it, but it's where I'm very engaged in. But anyway, I just, and I will say too that so what we're going to get out of today is we're going to talk, I'm going to have Katarinah share, and then we're going to be showing some art. You had some pretty outrageous cosmic experiences.
Yeah, the art will be the only way I can illustrate what I experienced.
Yeah.
It's a way to show other folks visually what I experienced.
Yeah. So anyway, so before we get into that, I just want to say that, you know, and I've said this before, just more about the mystical experience of astrology. Um, I started studying astrology, gosh, now it's 21 years. Uh, and the only 5 years ago, I went professional. And when I did, it was, I had spent the years before that, way before that in the corporate world. But then I moved into, on my spiritual path, sound healing and energy medicine and crystal bowls and toning and singing in the language of light, star language, you know, all of that. And I assisted many people in private sessions, workshops, intensives, you know, I did a lot of work, you know, for many, many years, as you know. And so, and it was all very rewarding. And then one day, I knew I was complete with that. And I didn't know what I was going to do, but I just knew that I did as much as I could in that realm. And I had to let go of everything. That was like some of the hardest. Pluto squaring the ascendant, let me tell you, was some of the hardest years of my life, because it was a death. It was a death of everything I knew. And then I had to just be in the vast silence of the unknown and then let it land. So what landed was astrology, which I had been studying in the background, never realizing it was going to be my dharma, you know, at least for now, the dharma. And so, so it was really fascinating. But when it finally emerged, I said to the divine, you know, okay, tell me the name of my practice. I need help. I want to attract just a certain kind of person. I'm not here to work with every single person. And I prayed and I asked for a sign, and I was in the, you know, anywhere, right? You know, in the bathroom, you know, the water, right? You always get water. Water's a great conductor for messages for me in the past. Well, it didn't happen then. And it didn't happen washing dishes at the sink, and it didn't get it in meditation, but I got it in my dream state. Or what after maybe several weeks of asking, one day I had this dream it wasn't a dream. You know how those things you can't even imagine.
Other
you know?
dimensional experience.
Yeah, yeah, that kind of, and it only was like a few seconds long, but it was like hours of like download. Yeah. So what I saw was, it was like I was standing in the void, or it was like I was in a room as well. It was all dark. It was black, 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 like no light, just complete darkness. And what I saw spelled out was in front of me, was in these blazing white letters. They were like crystalline white, brilliant white letters, flame letters. And it said www.starsoundastrology.com. It was like, and I was like, oh, and I turned to a friend who happened to be in the next room, another dark room, and I didn't see them, but I just shouted, "Hey, I got the name of my website!" And then boom, I woke up. It was like, whoa, like bolted awake, and it was so profound that I just, in those few seconds, I received insights and revealings that I can't even to this day put into English, Katarinah. It was, you know,
Yep.
you've had those.
Yep. It was like a download.
Yeah, yeah, like a huge, humongous, beyond words. Like I struggled to find the words to process, get my brain wrapped around this thing that happened. But I remember, I really feel it was the Akashic records where I saw the name. It was
Okay.
like, and that's where I got my spiritual name. It was, I felt it was in the same place. Many years before I got it in the Akashic records, and then, you know, here it is. So this was waiting for me. You know, so I was ready, and here it was. And but what was revealed to me was, it was like the planets were, or you know, isness was telling me that you know, just as I had done sound healing and energy medicine with crystal bowl sound healing, that everything emanates sound, right? Everything emanates sound, like, you know, a rock, a shoe, you know, whatever, a toothbrush, you know, it's like it all emanates. So everything emanates sound, and just like that, sound, planets emanate sound frequencies.
Yeah.
So whether it's a yogi would call prana, prana energy, or chi, or a scalar physicists would say scalar energy, right? So it's all the same. And when I read a chart, what I'm really reading is not the planets, but it's the sound frequencies of the planets. So it's like a song. Like everybody's chart is a song. It's almost like everybody's chart is a unique sheet music, unique just to them. And so when and then I also got, like, when you do this work, like more, it's a very deep rabbit hole, and more will be revealed as time goes on. So I was like, okay, that's about as much as I could remember, on a conscious level. And of course, I immediately ran to the computer, and I'm like, oh my God, I got to reserve this name.
Yeah.
Like, oh, don't forget. I'm like, what was that? It was Star Sound Astrology.
Domain name.
Yeah, right. I go, the who is dot domain. And I was like, oh my God. And I grabbed it. It's like, it was there. Of course it was there, silly. Duh, but anyway, so that's how Star Sound Astrology was born. And shortly thereafter, I was meditating and praying about, well, how could I'm ready to move forward. How do I move this into, more of an experiential thing? Well, because I was feeling like give people an experience of of their chart, not just talk about it, but like direct, like Terrence McKenna, right? Direct experience. Well, that's a huge rabbit hole. But I ended up going, okay, one thing I did was, and I start singing. So in chart readings, before I start, I will sing the chart, in the language of light. And that's like singing the song of their chart and their soul. So they actually, everybody gets their entire chart reading way better than English in 3 minutes. It's like a homeopathic. It gets delivered into the soul, right? The left brain is going nuts, but we don't care.
Yeah. But it's you're doing it on a mystical level.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, your mystical self is communicating to their mystical self.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
And they're getting it.
Yeah.
They may not be conscious of it, but they got it.
Yeah. And that's what I often remind people. I'm like, okay, you finished your busy world. We sit down for the session, and we got to disengage the logical mind and go into that. So I do, and and I'll often get visions too, because this language of light leads to telepathy. It's a bridge. So I'll often see things which are in sync with really the chart itself. It's like it gets played out different ways. But anyway, I'm saying all this because it's about the experience and knowing that we are way, way bigger. The level, it's like what I want to say about today is like, it's a level of reality. And I know that, so just to finish up about the star sign astrology, so everything vibrates according to sound and frequency. And that is really what I wanted to, to really reintroduce here. And there are many new people to this channel. And so who may not have heard that story before about star sound, how it came from the Akashic record. So there's this big picture, and there's a bigger reality, and we're just about to tune in and upgrade to this. It's very, very upon us now. And I really feel that strongly. And especially when you see so much turmoil in the world, these are turning points. And often, as we know, in any time before, there's always a crisis that happens before, like, the shift. So I really feel strongly that everything that we've been seeing with the news is really like a distraction almost, or it's just a very low expression, or it could be, you could say it's a distraction away from what really is going to occur in like true reality. Does it make any sense?
Well, the way I'm perceiving it is, it's old frequencies, old energies that are just breaking up. They're just like that, just breaking up, because this higher frequency is ushered in, and this stuff has to get out of the way,
right,
for this to just totally be everywhere.
Yeah, and it's almost like, if you can think about all the, like the egoic, I remember Eckhart Tolle said this in A New Earth. He said that as the ego expresses, so you think about the collective ego of humanity, just busting out, and he said that as the ego expresses itself, it burns itself off.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, it's good that this is happening, because it's the burning off of what's not real.
Yeah.
So it can be painful, unfortunately, like in the Capitol riots, 5 people lost their life. That's very tragic. And it's just pointing to something that is getting accomplished in terms of the world changing, in terms of consciousness shifting. There is this bigger picture happening, and that it's so easy to get caught up in these very depressing news headlines, and lurid too. And we're all kind of like, oh, what's going to happen next? When we really want to be, it's like this scary soap opera. But what we really want to do is what's going to happen next in our own,
Yeah, what is happening?
Yeah, what is happening?
Yeah,
so
it's almost like, the way I see it is, because I love moving energies around, especially when I'm helping people organize and working on their house, cleaning their house.
Yeah, you have like dual careers, right?
Yeah,
what is your sun sign? Would you like to share your sun sign with us?
Gemini.
Oh,
Yeah.
They're in duality, but you have 2 careers, of course, right?
Yeah. But it's like,
what are your 2 careers? Tell us.
The Earth is it's like the world system has been happening, for ages. Our system. And now the galaxy, God is coming in with a big, vacuum cleaner,
Hoover.
Yeah, with a dustpan and a broom. You got to break up that dirt and get rid of it. Yeah. And that's what's happening. All that stuff that has not supported humanity, that old vibe, man, it's just old vibe. Right. It's got to go. Right. And the light, there's nothing, the light is just right. pushing through.
That's what last year, the whole 2020 Jupiter-Saturn-Pluto conjunction, I call it the Jupiter-Saturn-Pluto freight train, just busted through.
That's right.
And that was like the wrecking ball to anything that was toxic. So if it left, it's because it had to leave.
Yeah.
Time was complete. And
so we're seeing on the news, you're seeing it played out in a 3D world. But then you've got the mystical realm and other higher dimensions where it's just brilliant, beautiful expansion. But anyway, yeah.
And the work that you do, I know you said about the dual careers. So, and it's interesting because in a way they're both related when you think about it. So tell us about the 2 different, your 2 different passions for being in service.
Well, being an actor, being a writer, being a producer, being a director, I always did I've been performing and doing shows ever since I was a child, since high school, but they always had a spiritual message and intention behind them. And the big one that I mean, they were all good and they were all great, but it wasn't until Goddess Galactica came on the scene in 2003 that that was a big visible one, where my intention was that I wanted people to recognize that this is not all, what you see around you is not all that is. We live in a mystical world. We live in a spiritual world, but a mystical world. And the planets are live, intelligent beings. They communicate with each other. They communicate with the galaxy, and you can communicate with them. And so that was my intention. And then going back, I always knew I wasn't from here. As a child, I used to sit at the windowsill at night and just cry. I want to go home. I want to go home, because I knew my home, and I look up at the black sky and the stars. That was my home. That was my home. It was, and I've heard other star people say this, that they knew when they were children that they didn't belong here.
Right.
And
knowingness.
Yeah. And then I had several mystical experiences when I was a child. And then it wasn't until 1998 that I began working with, purposely working with the planets. Twice, every day, every night I was working with the moon. And then I got into the eclipses, the transits, the planetary transits, and any type of a major cosmic astrological event. I was working with it, and it just opened up this other dimension, mystical dimension, another reality to me, where I experienced the planets as live beings, live intellectual beings, communicating with one another,
Mm.
and I was able to communicate and receive and information from them, and
Mm.
it's so loving and it's so amazing. And then I look up, and I actually wrote a song about this, but when I would look up in the sky, I could just feel love coming down, showering down on me, like the divine love, coming, and the stars themselves, the planets themselves, everything that we see at night,
Mhm.
they would just, because it's like friends, I was relating to them, so they were my friends. And so this love, every night I go out and look at them, and I just feel all this love coming down to me, and
Oh, it's
it's just
beautiful.
so astounding. But it's available to, I can,
Oh,
it's
wait,
just
hey,
so, we have a friend here. It's just so,
yeah.
it's available to everyone. And that's why I started Goddess Galactica, who I saw Goddess Galactica. She's a future self of mine. My first introduction to her was in a sweat lodge in the early 1990s, where
Wow.
we were in a sweat lodge, and we all started to tone, and boom, as soon as that happened, I saw her on her ship right above, hovering, and she looked like she looks in the TV show. So I created her as the character to
In this
look like I
TV.
saw her. But
Wow.
and she is one of my other dimensional selves.
Like a future self, or if you could
Yeah,
call it that.
yeah,
Wow, that's
yeah,
amazing that you created a character based on you from the future.
yeah.
That's mind blowing.
And so she is the main character on that show, and I did that show for 6 years straight in Portland, Oregon. I can tell you later about it. So you can see some YouTube videos about it. And then I resurrected it a couple of years ago, and did a couple episodes. Uh, uh,
We'll put the link to. Is that okay? If we put the link
yeah,
below. All right. So just check below and the
yeah,
contact information for you and the show and all that.
yeah.
Okay. Just
But the
want
whole
you to.
show was geared. My intention was to, Goddess Galactica reported on all the mystical spiritual events that happened from 2003 until 2009. And so she was always updating, and telling people, and it was just really fun and really cool. And
I love that.
there was more than, I mean, it was a pretty intense show. I played 9 characters. I wrote all the script. I
Holy
directed
moly.
it. I produced it, and
Yeah.
it was really intense. But the whole intention was to introduce people, to really get people to get into this high vibe. And her introduction was, are you in the high vibe, the light vibe, the love vibe, the happy vibe? Because that's what it is, and that's what we have coming down even more. And we'll show as we get to the posters.
Yeah. We got some art here.
A very basic illustration of what I experienced, but
But it gives
yeah,
people a clue. Yeah.
yeah.
It's
So the
like,
intention is just to, and that's our intention here in this moment, is to help people recognize and get in tune with the big galactic picture. Earliana does it through her astrology. I do it through my individual sessions and like from my show, etc. But that there's so much going on a mystical level, on a cosmic level, on a galactic level, and a divine level, because all the planets they know God. They know
mm.
God, and it's all God.
It's interesting that I have to say that I know we've known each other 30 years. So we were 1 year old, right? We were
Yeah,
babies.
yeah. In this lifetime.
In this lifetime,
Yeah.
right? But the thing I always love about you, Katarinah, I really have to say that, is that, because I feel emotional when I say this, but you you know what I always say when I get on the phone with her? I always get on the phone and I go, Katarinah, I really, really love you. Katarinah, I love you. Like, not saying hello. I just go, Katarinah, I really, really love you.
I love you so much.
It goes back and forth.
I love you
But
so much, Earlier.
I love you too. But one of the things that I really so appreciate about you, and when I met you, was I was living in the corporate world in New York City. As you know, we were both in New York City.
Oh, we gotta tell that story.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
right. That was, oh my God, we have to add that
Yes,
in. Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes. Oh my God, that's good. That's a
Okay, I'll tell that
wild story.
story. You tell your story.
Okay, well, I can say, yeah, we got some wild stories.
Yeah, we
So
do.
stay tuned, man.
Yeah.
This is good stuff. You're gonna love this. This is gonna get you through next week and beyond.
Yeah.
But the thing I love about you is that you know, when I met you, I was just so, you know, I mean, the type A New Yorker, you know, just the whole business world and intellect, New York City, you know, intellect is the god of the, you know, the temple of, you know, everything's the intellect, and the New York Times, and, you know, all of that. And not that there's anything wrong with the intellect, but it's, you know, it just has taken over.
That was your world.
Yeah, that was my world. And even though I felt like you do, when I was growing up, I always felt, I'd look up at the sky, I'd do the same thing and be like, gosh, you know, I'm not like the other children, you know, and I just didn't relate to the other kids, you know, like they were into Little League and I'm like, no, I don't, Little League, no, you know, it's like, no, there's something bigger. But what I loved is that when I finally met you, it was, that you reminded me and you brought that alive for me, that it had been so dormant and so I'm hearing the word flushed out, you know, because in the corporate world of New York, there's no space for that, especially back then. It's like, oh God, you know, now it's different. But woof, back at 30 years ago, it was like, it was intense. And that you are always tuned into these dimensions. And it was just a breath of fresh air to remember. And like, oh my God, I could get, you were like, you know, Harry Potter coming from this other world. I'm like, guess what? It's right in front of us. It's right here. And you live that. So it's just so, it was so important to me with my spiritual development, because I was just new on my path, and to find a kindred spirit and to always remind me of that. So if you don't have a friend like that, you know, now you do. We have us,
Yeah,
you know,
that's
we have
right.
us.
Yeah.
We may be on Zoom or YouTube, but we are, you know, we're all connected. And so I love you very much.
Well, I'm very appreciative of that, and here's my story.
Yeah, go ahead.
And so
how we met.
Yeah.
You're gonna love this.
Yeah, this was
we weren't gonna say this today, but it's just
we have to tell this story
We have to tell
because
this
this shows why I love Earliana so much, and who she really is.
That I didn't know at the time.
Yeah, well, I met. Well, I won't go into how we met, but I'll go start where I came to your house. How's that? You know, with the house.
Okay. What about my mom?
Okay. Do you want me to say that part?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was very, very,
all right.
cool.
So I had to leave New York, and this was 1990 or 1990. I had to get out of there.
I had already left Manhattan, and I moved out to Long Island. I needed to get out of the city, so I got a place in this. Yeah. Okay.
And we didn't know each other then. So this is really neat. This just goes, and folks, you know, if you get an intuition or you get a feeling, follow it. I was living at the time, I was living with my sister, and we rented this apartment in the village. We were on the top floor. It was a 6th floor walk up, and we just had like a couple of months left on our lease, our yearly lease. And one night I had this terrible feeling that something dreadful was going to happen, and we had to get out. That same night that my sister saw the building on fire. And so the next morning I told her what I felt, and she told me what she saw, and we said, we got to get out of here. So like immediately we have to leave.
Wow.
You know, break the lease. We've got to get out.
Wow, I didn't know this.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. And so I just got on the phone and I called. I remember this was 1990, so it was quite a while ago. And I just called, looked up and found out where different metaphysical shops were on Long Island, because I wanted to get out of the city. I've been living in Manhattan for many years. And I just found this one, and I called them up and I said, hey, you know, I'm looking to move to Long Island. Do you have a bulletin board? And maybe somebody's renting a room or they need a roommate or something. And so the guy said, oh yeah, we got, somebody just posted something. So he goes and he comes back and he says, oh yeah, call this woman, you know, gave me your name and gave me your phone number. I said, okay, great, thanks. So I call up And that was, do they know about your Uranus?
Oh yeah, that was that was in I don't know why. I think maybe because I had moved, but I didn't have my landline put in yet. So
That's right.
I had to put my mom and dad's phone number on Long Island. I just wrote that out. So
Mhm.
it was, the phone went to my
Your parents' house.
residence, right?
Yeah, because
Okay.
you were in the process of moving into that place. I think that
yeah,
that
yeah, and I didn't have my own phone number, so I had to use my parents' number. Right.
Right.
Yeah. So the phone call went to my mom. Picks up the phone. Right.
Yeah, yeah,
And you're like, you were asking for me, is Ileana there? And
yeah. Is Liliana there? No, she's not. And so, it was like, okay,
she said, "Oh, can I take a message?" Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
she said, can I take a message? And I thought, nah, I'm not, hey, I was a Manhattan, from Manhattan, a whole other person. But I said, nah, that's all right. I'll just call back later. Suddenly her voice changes. It was like this energy came through her mom and it said, are you sure you don't want to leave a message? And that energy and that
It was like this
voice,
very quiet, subtle.
powerful.
Yeah.
It was a powerful
And
energy.
it was like a shift. Like you knew, oh, this is not her mom.
No, it sounded totally different. Not like the person that I just spoke to. Are you sure you don't want to leave a message? I mean, how can you resist that? It was like, it was like, okay, and so I left my name and my phone number. She calls me and then we spoke for 2 hours.
Yeah.
That time, the first phone conversation, 2 hours. So the ad was looking for somebody to share the house. So anyway, I end up going out to Long Island. I had to take the train. Now remember, I got to get out of my apartment because something terrible is going to happen. So I go to Long Island, get off, and Earliana and I are talking, and I just felt that, my connection with her was permanent and she was my soul sister, but this living arrangement just wasn't right for me in the moment. And so I told her, but anyway, so I have to get the train back into Manhattan. So she starts telling me this story of something that happened to her about how her wallet had been stolen and then a good Samaritan had returned the wallet. And being a New York PR person, she calls up the paper.
The New York Post.
Yeah.
I gave him my own Good Samaritan story.
Yeah.
And they came out with a photographer. I said, you have to bring a photographer. So they brought a photographer, and
that's great. I thought
it was on the radio too. They had this whole story about.
I thought it was great. It was a great story,
Yeah.
and she's standing there telling me this story, and I have to. So here she is telling me the story.
You're coming off camera. Get over here.
And she's a lot taller than me. So she's telling me the story, and she's very dramatic, and expressive. And then all of a sudden, out of her eyes comes this blue laser light. They come out of her eyes, and I'm like, looking at her and saying to myself, oh my God, but who I am, I've gone, I've had all sorts of weird out of this world experiences my whole life. So she finishes this story, and I'm looking at her and I said, you know what, really, I've got to tell you something. I just saw two blue laser lights come out of your eyes. Oh my God! And so that was the beginning of her.
New on my spiritual path, so I was like, oh my goodness, like all these.
The confirmation she's an ET.
Right.
So that was.
I'm not a New Yorker. I'm an ET. What? I'm not a New
Yorker. ET in disguise as a New Yorker.
Right.
So you're getting an astrology reading from an ET. Oh, let me tell you, this is a real.
Don't tell anybody.
This is a real deal.
This is a real deal.
So anyway,
we only look like Earth people.
Yeah, we're in disguise. We really are.
Yeah, right.
And I know that I know that a lot of people. I've heard other people say that when they were children, they felt that they weren't from here.
Yeah.
So folks, if you know this, then you're absolutely right.
You're home here. If you think you're weird, you're home. This is your home.
Yeah,
And
right.
children today too, they're very vocal about that.
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
a
they
man, that's a whole other story about, maybe we can do a show on that,
sure.
about uh, 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 the dangers of the children and of this world, because we are in this world, but we're not of this world.
Right.
We are in this world, but we are not of this world. And for the young people, there's just so much going on that I even talk about dreams. I even had a dream, and I'm really big about these toxic chemicals on the planet,
Mhm.
that they're so detrimental to everybody, especially, especially light being star seeds, etc. But anybody that's sensitive, these toxic chemicals. And
Mhm.
I had this, and I just had this dream about the foods that people are eating, this preservative, that all this, stuff in the food that's so detrimental to the light body,
Sure.
and especially young people. And I had this dream, and I was in this dream. It was telling me that I was supposed to do this video, or short video or something, to let people know. And it would, and in it was a maybe like a 10 or 13-year-old, and it was like no chemicals, no chemicals, no
Wow.
chemicals, no chemicals. But anyway, it's really important that people understand uh, that we're talking to light workers, star seeds, indigo people, crystal kids,
Whatever you
whatever
want to
you're,
call it.
yeah, whatever you call it. But anyway, so
And that's a Pluto Capricorn thing, the toxicity, whether it's in the food supply or in our government or a structure of society, it's
thought
just
forms,
right. Thought
thought
forms
forms.
and other beings of dark energies that are, being purged and being exposed to the light now, because we're, like I said, if any, this is like the best week to have you on the show. I've been talking to you, we go, I got to get you on. And then as fate would have it, here we are, because we're on this threshold. Next week is a big, this coming week. And then of course into the rest of the year, but especially this month and next month, it's just going to be outrageous. There's a shift opening, that all the darkness and all the intense craziness of COVID, and of course, it's still going on, but all of that is happening for a reason. And there is, it's just, there's a lot that's being played out right now. And yet we want to, again, the purpose of today's talk is to not get so caught up in the hard, dark aspects of what's occurring, but to know that there's always, it's the light that's pushing this forward.
Mm-hmm.
I remember in the Kabbalah, they always say, or Kabbalah, they say that in the that every breakdown is light waiting to be revealed.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So we have to don't get caught up in all the, like, it's very easy to get caught up in the drama of
Yeah.
the news headlines of all this. And, especially this month, we've got the Mars Saturn square and Jupiter square and Saturn squaring, Uranus and Saturn squaring is, of course, like I've been sharing, is the big deal for 2021. It's like the major transit. And next month it's going to be exactly squaring, but this week we have Mars squaring and Jupiter squaring, which of course gave us the Capitol riots and such, and all this conflict and aggression. But there is this higher side that's waiting to be revealed. And yeah, and that's why I maybe we should jump into the pictures and the art that you want to show us, and what happened. And I know you have a practice where you talk to people one-on-one in light messages. Is that your
Mm-hmm.
practices, right?
Mm-hmm.
Messages from the, how did you say that again?
Just light messages. But before
Yeah.
we get into that, I just want to say that these planets, like I said, they're live beings, they're conscious beings, they're intelligent entities, and they're working. The Earth is part of a neighborhood, and all the planets in our solar system are her neighborhood. So we have the sun, and then we have all the planets in our neighborhood, Mercury, Mars, Venus, Earth, Jupiter, Uranus, blah, 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 Pluto. I still include Pluto, but
oh yeah, he's
yeah,
back in.
yeah,
We didn't
he
listen
never
to the
left.
astronomers.
He never left.
He never left.
Yeah, they were trying to get him out, but
they demoted him. But then
Yeah.
then the astronomers bring him like, okay, you're not so demoted.
Yeah,
Like, we never bought
we
into
want
that.
Pluto. We want Pluto.
We want Pluto.
But all of these planets are live beings, and this is you think you're watching a drama out in the world on the news. Man, you should really tune in to the bigger, more fun drama that's happening in the galaxy. It's coming down from the Milky Way. It's the Milky Way is assisting us. We're in our little neighborhood. Our solar system is evolving. All the planets, the galaxy. If you look up on NASA, you will see that they found a super, what do they call it? Darn it. Not a super galaxy, but it's Lanakania. I should have looked this up before this. Lanakania, but something, it's a Hawaiian name. But it is a super cluster of galaxies, and it is massive. It's a massive being that's made up of billions of galaxies. Now, when you think of that, and then you think of our Milky Way, and then you think of our little neighborhood, our solar system, and then our little Earth, that's massive. And we're all, and everything is moving and evolving in the universe, the galaxy, everything is alive and moving and evolving and shifting and changing. So our little neighborhood is evolving spiritually, mystically, physically, we're all evolving.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing that Goddess Galactica, my future self, wanted to get over to people, because we on Earth, we are evolving too. In our physical bodies, we're becoming beings of light. Our light bodies are coming out. And I just wanted to say, in one of the, it was between 2003 and 2009, and I don't remember. I have it all documented, but it was a total solar eclipse on Earth. And during that eclipse, the sun came to me and told me that during this eclipse, he was, from now on, he was going to be in his light body. He was going to be in his light body, and his intention for just being in his light body was to assist all of us on Earth so we could evolve into our light bodies. Wow. And if you are aware and look at the sun, you'll notice that the sun has definitely changed. It used to be this, egg yolk color ball, and now it's almost white.
Yeah,
lots of days.
You're right. The color frequency. Okay.
Yeah, that. So this is just an example of what the planets are doing.
What's available to us.
Yeah, what they're doing, and I have some, all these experiences documented, and I mean, if people are interested, I can share them. But anyway, the whole point of it is for people to recognize that this really cool thing is happening, in the galaxy, in the Milky Way galaxy, beyond. Galaxies are moving closer together, etc., and our solar system and us. And so instead of focusing on the drama out there in the news, hey, focus on that drama.
Yeah, that's a much more interesting show.
Yeah,
it's almost like I remember,
exciting.
Yeah, and I remember years ago that my teachers were saying how, it's a choice that we have. What channel do you want to tune into? If you have a remote, you can change the channel. Do you want to be on the chaos channel and get all caught up in all that? Or even with Mars square Uranus could be, we have to be very careful not to get caught up in the mob mentality. And it might be, and Mercury squaring Uranus too. Do we want to be caught up in that, or because that could definitely be catastrophic. And the dark side of Uranus is chaos and catastrophe, and so in a mob mentality, and it could not necessarily be us physically joining a protest, say for example, but even just in your mind, getting swept up in that. Or you can, like you said, there's a much grander show going on. Mm-hmm. That is really, I feel like we're almost being you know, like this can see, you could see all this darkness and the news and the violence and all. I mean, yes, we have to be real. We're living here. We know that that's going on, but we don't, like you said, you can be in the world, but not of it. So you don't have to identify with that as your own. And that was what I've, you know, said in previous podcasts, is to, you know, that's not who we really are.
No, and
So
we're here to hold the light. And as light beings, star seeds, etc., we're here. And now is such a great time to hold the light, to be the light, to let this energy out of us, to ground it on Earth. You know, you don't even have to do anything. Just be your light being. You know, you go to the store and you're shining this light. People are going to feel it and be uplifted, because this whole time is the darkness is broken up. The darkness is has to go. It will go. It is going. And there's so much light that's coming through. All these galactic events, astrological events, all these events are just openings for divine light. Divine light. It's really God is behind all this, because God, you know, everything is part of God, and the planets know that. The ETs know that, you know, that it's all God, and it's time for this divine energy, this massive divine energy, for the Earth to receive this, you know. She's a live being. It's her time to receive this, and us that are alive here now on the planet, for us to receive it.
Yeah, for us,
and just
like
be it.
And it's always been there. It's kind of like, I think of Harry Potter and the if you haven't listened to last week's podcast, oh my goodness, episode, and YouTube, yeah, I talk about Harry Potter. I'm a massive Harry Potter fan, but you know, the whole idea about Harry being, he's in this 3D world, in the Muggle world, and yet he has, but right in the same world is the wizard world. It's embedded. It's not another place separate. It's right here, and it's like, as if we become more conscious and aware, it's just revealed to us. It's always been here. It's just we've had the blinders on.
Yeah.
So it's really a cool, fascinating topic. But anyway, you want to
let's show the universe. So in 2004, I was in my apartment in Portland, Oregon, and I was just thinking about the 2012, December 2012 big event.
Right, the end of the Mayan calendar.
Yeah, where the center of the Milky Way galaxy was supposed to be in a line.
So we're lined up with.
With the Earth. So I was just thinking about that. You know, that's really interesting. Boom, like that. I was out of my body, and I was out in space, and I was hovering. I was right over the Earth, and the Earth was out in space. All I saw was black around me, and I'm hovering over the Earth, and the Earth is just, you know, slowly moving as she goes on her path. She was just slowly moving, and I'm hovering on top of her, just looking around. I see this black. All of a sudden, I start seeing like this light coming, like we were coming around a corner almost, and I see this brilliant light, you know, coming out, and we're getting closer and closer. And as we came around that corner, I'll show you in the illustration.
I'm going to show you here. Let me get my glasses. Hold just a second. Okay, I found it. I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to bring that up. And here we are.
Okay, so here we are, and I'll just show you with the little arrow. Here we are, and we come out. Here's the space, and all of a sudden, this is brilliant white light here, and we come right face to face with the center of the Milky Way galaxy. And these things that you see right here, they were like lava lamps. They were alive, and they were like bubbles, not even a bubble, blobs, like, you know, in a lava lamp, blah, 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 blah.
Like jellyfish, like bloop, bloop.
Yeah, they were, you know, small, and then they were getting big, but they were constantly, you know, creating new ones, going up, and they were in different colors. And I can't tell you, the colors are just more day glow than anything you've seen here on this planet. It's
like electric
beyond,
color.
It's beyond. You know, it's so hard to describe, but if you know, this is like day glow cardboard, And
Right.
it's beyond this. It's so
Wow.
astounding.
Wow.
And then this was all like amazing light. And then here was this was the galaxy, this was the consciousness, the live being itself. And all these, I don't know if we can zoom in, but all these were just magnificent. They look like, these are beads. There you
Look, we can
go.
zoom in.
Yeah.
Yay. They were like beads,
Well, I mean,
like living beads.
these are beads, but this is a live being. This is like its face, I guess, or its heart, or the core of the galaxy. And these, see how dimensional these are. These are beads, and then we have Swarovski rhinestones here.
Thank you, Swarovski.
Yeah,
a little plug for Swarovski.
Yeah, I use
crystals.
them to because they're bright. And then but it was like this. It was, and it almost looked like, how tapioca, the little balls of tapioca, you have a dark center.
Oh, okay.
In a
like
tapioca
pudding.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like little pearly.
Yeah, each little pearl has a dark center
A
in
little
it.
dot.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's how these things look, but much more magnificent. Just, it was just so incredible. And this is a live being. Like I said, this is its, and these things going, you can zoom out now, these things going
between lava lamps, and we will never look at lava lamps and tapioca pudding in the same way again.
these things that were alive, and just the colors and the movement and the aliveness. And this is the core of the Milky Way galaxy. This whole thing is it.
Are you saying that these are like little they're like individual entities, or they were parts of a bigger entity?
This is its core. Maybe this is its face. Maybe this is its heart. This is the center of the galaxy. It's comprised of all this, and these blobs that kept going up. They were start out little and then just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and then they would, and then more. Yeah, like it was a constant recreation. Wow. And they were centered. There were several of them, and the colors were so brilliant, but they're so alive and active. But this is like its face or its heart, the core, the center of the Milky Way galaxy. And and I was so shocked, because I am facing this. I'm right there in it. It's right in front of me. And I was, it happens like this. And I was so stunned that I went, like that. And then I'm back in my apartment.
Wow. As soon as you went.
Yeah, because I was so shocked. It was such a shocking.
You weren't expecting it.
Yeah, I mean, here we are coming around a corner. I knew I was out in space.
Yeah.
Just slowly moving around this corner in space.
Wow.
And then I see this brilliant light shining out, and then over here, that blue.
No, this was this part looks almost green.
Well, that's because it wasn't. It was brilliant yellow, white light.
Oh, yellow.
I just, this is just a poster board.
No, they ran out of yellow poster board at the store, but people just think of yellow.
This is brilliant light.
Okay.
But this is the corner. This is space out here.
Right.
This black.
Like outer space.
Yeah, outer space. It was all black.
That's
and here
amazing.
We are on Earth. We're coming around right here. We're coming from over here, and then just came around the corner, and I was right in front, and then I could no longer see this blue, because the blueness of space, the black of space, because I was standing
in the heart of the Milky Way. Do you think it was? Or what
absolutely.
Did you feel? It's the heart of the Milky Way.
The heart, the core, the center, the heart, the core, the center, and it's a live being. It's a live being. These things were, the eyes I'd call them eyes, but everything was alive. It was so alive and magnificent, and it's so hard to explain, but it is. That's the core, the center, the heart of the Milky Way galaxy. So
what did you feel like? What was the emotion that when you saw this? What was
shock? I was in shock. I mean, because it was so beautiful and awesome and magnificent. and alive, and it knew
It knew you were there.
it knew I was there, and it was like a recognizing. Hello, it's like,
hey, guess what?
It's like this is
pleased to meet you.
Unique privilege, a blessed privilege that I experienced this being.
Yeah.
I mean, it is such it's an honor, it's a blessing, it's a privilege that I was able to actually come face to face with the center of the Milky Way galaxy.
Wow.
And it's so astounding. It's so amazing and incredible.
Well, you want to know something? You know, when last month's eclipse, I'm thinking of Uranus right now and the last month's solar eclipse. But Uranus has been retrograde in Taurus. It just went direct, the other day. That's what comes to mind. I'm thinking, boy, it would have been neat to, by the way, when you had, I know you probably don't remember the date it happened, but it would have been interesting to check the ephemeris and see where was Uranus in your chart, because this is like where cosmic experience, you can see it very easily in any chart. Any astrologer can pull it up, and if you had a cosmic experience, you could see where it had taken place or would. I mean, there are many conversations I have with clients, and I'll say, oh, right now, this is a very juicy time for you to be dealing with higher dimensional realities, and you may be consider, especially in like transits in the 12th house, you could have visitations or dream state, and have a very, very active, incredible, the propensity for cosmic visions and prophecy and things are heightened, at certain times in people's charts. In general, the Gemini Sagittarius eclipses that we started having last year, and it will continue through this year into January of 2022, they're all in the signs of Gemini and Sagittarius. Well, that's definitely, Sag is very much associated with prophetic visions, intuition and prophetic visions. And last month's eclipse, which was at the solar eclipse, was at 23 degrees of Sagittarius. The galactic center, relative to the Earth measurement, is 26 degrees. So we're like 3 degrees. That eclipse was 3 degrees from the galactic center. So you talk about revealing, cosmic revealing. Mm-hmm. It could be that, you've always been a forerunner, and I really feel that this is probably something that more people, it's being made available, because you said, when did you say this occurred? It was 2003 or 2002?
No, 2000, it was 2004.
2004, okay. So the fact that you're having these, visions and these prophetic, incredible,
experiences,
cosmic, live, like you talk about, this is the whole point of astrology, direct experience.
Yeah, this was a real experience. I was not in my body. I was in my another future self. I could have been, in Goddess Galactica's future self, her body. I was not in my apartment. I was.
Yeah, right. Clearly.
I was really, literally hovering over the Earth. I could see the Earth. I mean, it's so real. When you have these experiences, and I know a lot of people have these experiences where they're no longer present in this third dimensional reality.
Right.
But you're in another
expanded,
another reality. Totally. It's real. It's really real.
Yeah. That's realer than what we think is real.
Yeah. I mean, it was so real, and it was so stunning. And like I said, it's so, I'm so, I feel privileged and honored and blessed that I could, and since that time, I've had other communications. I've had several communications with the galaxy, with the Milky Way galaxy. And the point I'm trying to stress is that it is a live being. It is a live being, and other people can communicate with the galaxy because it is a live being, and it's really cool. It is a really neat entity. It really is.
Does it have a sense of humor?
They all do. They all do. They really do. Yeah.
They're like, lighten up. They're probably telling us, lighten up, people.
Even Saturn.
Even Saturn. Oh my God.
I'll show you in the picture.
Even Saturn. Yeah. Oh my God. That's so funny, because Chuta Baba, who is my astrology teacher, he said, I've been, as you know, I've been in starting, I've been taking formal training in ancient astrology for the last couple of months. And, he said to us recently, he said, I am tired of people saying Saturn's the bad guy. He said everything, well, I know in ancient astrology, Saturn is called a malefic, which sounds like he's evil and bad and heavy, Is Saturn associated with melancholia and depression and all? Yes. Is there a validity to that? Absolutely. You can always feel a Saturn transit in her chart. However, there's another side, and he even said, I haven't seen it yet, but he said he developed a whole workshop on the mystical side of Saturn. And he said it's not, it's like, he can be contemplative. Saturn could be very contemplative, because Saturn, before Neptune was only discovered in the 1860s, I think. Anyway, before Neptune was discovered, all the Pisces qualities were assigned to, I think I'm getting this right. No, that was Jupiter, sorry. But Saturn in Aquarius, that's right. Aquarius, where Uranus now has taken all the things that we associate with Uranus, was originally associated with Saturn. But Saturn is not just old stodgy. Yeah, like he wants people to know that, and I'm learning more and more about that. But I'd like to hear.
You'll see.
Is he
smiling?
funny?
You'll see him
smiling.
smiling.
Okay, let's get you the next.
So,
all right,
so
folks,
let me think
pull
of
up the next.
Well, let me
Which
think
picture do you want to show?
Let's go to the Earth. Let's go to the Earth.
The Earth. Okay.
That one.
Now, so not Saturn, but Saturn is funny. You said he's.
Well, you'll see.
Oh, okay.
See.
Okay.
That's the conjunction.
Right,
that's the conjunction.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. Share.
So
and
this
Saturn,
is
and here
this.
It is.
Poster I created.
Wait a minute. Sorry. I have to figure out. Let me get the share screen. Just a second. Here it is. Okay. Here we are. Yes, we are. Yes, we're still. Here we are. We're recording.
Okay, yes. So this is a poster that I created in 2003 for my TV show Goddess Galactica. I did it for Goddess Galactica because she told me to do it. But as
when you get yelled at by your future self, this is what it looks like.
Or told to do it, you do it. Right. This is the Earth and her mystical spiritual advancement. So you can see. So
some people are listening to this on podcast, on audio. So if you could just give a visual description.
Oh, sure. Okay. So we have down here, we have two images of the Earth. The lower image is the 3D image world, the 3D experience of Earth as we have known her to be.
Like oceans and land and.
Well, it's the actual Earth, but I mean energetically. What all this stuff that's going on is moving into the upper Earth. The upper Earth is her mystical, her spiritual self. She's in her divinity. She's in her. Remember, she's a live being. So she's
Gaia. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's in her mystical. She's in alignment with the solar system, which is also moving into a higher frequency, into their mystical selves. So she's coming into her alignment with that. And look how beautiful she is. I mean, she's just surrounded. This is all mystical, magical energy, all these stars. And so this is the old vibe. The lower Earth is the old vibe. And so it's like she's separating or she's moving apart. You know how some people have said two Earths, two planets. But what I saw was this is her evolution. And this is the old vibe.
Kind of like a snake shedding its skin. It's like it moves away from the old shell of a, it's outgrown that.
Yeah, it's no longer this old vibe down here.
Right.
The old 3D vibe of these structures that we've seen on Earth for eons. And now this is the high vibe that she's moved into. And she's so beautiful. Look at all that. These gorgeous stars and all this magical energy.
So there's stars spiraling around the Earth. Is that what you saw?
Well, I drew this to just illustrate the magic.
Okay.
That this
and
is
the
magic.
movement, the expansion of consciousness.
Because to me, it looks really magical. All these stars. People think of, when they think of magic, they think of stars. At least I do.
Sure.
Stars, magical stars. And that was
Nice.
my way of depicting that she's evolving into this mystical, magical planet, which, it's her right. It's her right.
And it's her time.
And it's her time, and it's about time.
And
So,
Saturn says it's about time because he's all about time. All right, you want to show another one?
yeah, let's,
Okay. So we can stop share. I'm going to move to the next picture. Which
let's
one
show
do you want?
that galaxy one.
All
That
right.
one.
That one, the
Yeah.
galaxy one. Okay. I'm going to share let me pull
could've-
up the galaxy and let's see. Share screen. Here it is. All right.
Yeah. So again, this is a very, this is my illustration of the galaxy, our Milky Way galaxy, and this
Spiraling eye.
Yes, he is a spiral. Here's his center that you saw in the previous,
luminous, yeah, with the little
in the previous
with the little blobby jellyfish.
His core, his center,
his jellyfish in the middle of the galactic. Don't tell NASA; they think it's something else. I think it's a black hole or a white hole or. They got jellyfish in there.
This is his beautiful core. But look down here, folks. There's our sun. This little black spot.
That little dot.
That little black dot.
Is our entire solar system?
That's our sun. Right there. So that's our solar system down there, but that's our sun.
You made him black just so you could see the contrast.
Yeah, I just wanted people to see our sun.
You are here, like one of those maps with the arrow. You are here.
But look where we are in relationship to
the giant spiral.
And these are all billions of planets and stars, and they're all entities and they're all alive. But I just wanted people to see where we are, down here in comparison to the Milky Way. And then you have the Milky Way is just one galaxy, and then you have other galaxies and galaxies and galaxies and galaxies, and then that big super galaxy.
Super clusters, I think they call it.
Melancholia or something. You can look it up on NASA. It's on NASA, and they have two illustrations of it.
Wow!
And it's just, talk about out there. It's out there. So I just wanted people to see. Nice. So they have an idea of our relationship to the galaxy. There we are.
And then it's like, I think whenever I see pictures like this from outer space, I always think, all the pettiness and the concerns and the worries and all the little things that we get hung up on or annoyed with people on, it's like, oh, like when you see this magnificence, you're like, is all those things you worried about, really worth it? It just puts you in such awe and respect.
Absolutely, because this is God's creation. This is a live being created by God, just like we are.
We are from the stars. We are. Absolutely. That. I remember when I was when I was growing up, I remembered with I grew up Catholic, and Ash Wednesday, they'd line us kids up and they'd march us into church, and we all got our ashes. Do you remember when you'd see them in Manhattan, people coming out of churches and they had the black soot ash. They would burn, the priests would burn palm leaves, like from Palm Sunday, and they burn it and make ash, and then they would use that and they would take their thumb and they make the sign of a cross on your third eye, really. And I can still hear the priest to this day. You'd all kneel at the little kneeler thing. One by one, he'd walk his way down the thing and he would say, you are to dust, you are from dust, and to dust you shall return. You are from dust, and to dust you shall return. And I used to get really annoyed now I was always the good little Catholic schoolgirl, but I used to think, that doesn't feel right to my soul. Like, what do you mean dust? Like, I'm looking at this dirty thumb of soot, and I'm like, okay, yeah, it's blessed and all this, but it's carbon based. Mm-hmm. I'm like, wait a minute, like
you are from star to star.
Yeah, you are from stardust, and to stardust you shall return. But they didn't say that. That was like heresy.
That's the far out church.
Burn them at the stake. But it's like, oh no, you're from dust. So to me, when I heard dust, of course, my connotation was, my mom would make us clean the house every Saturday, and somebody had to dust, somebody had to wash windows. So dusting was like, you're scraping up this dead gray stuff. I'm like, that's dust to me. It was just like detritus, and so you know, so it always irked me. And I knew that we were something way bigger. So don't tell me that I'm going to be just all this effort for dust, you know, it
Yeah.
just always annoyed the heck out of me.
All this effort for
all this stuff for nothing.
I came from 2 galaxies away for dust.
For this, you know, right? And it's like this thing, you know, like the soot. And you think about like in the Keys of Enoch, they talk about the transfer of our solar system and you know, from a carbon base to a hydrogen base is part of the transfer. So there's carbon, you know, there's this carbon of this soot. So it was very we have it. We have a wait a minute, we have somebody, we're on the air. This is a live broadcast. Hold on a second. Okay, we're back. Sorry, there was unexpected action there. So anyway, yeah, so that was, it's just interesting how, you know, the things we remember like from childhood with that Ash Wednesday thing that just always, you know, bugged me. And I'm thinking I was more like the Harry Potter character, like going, okay, I know that, you know, I've been introduced on a spiritual path. There is definitely a bigger world. Something that I'd always known as a child, but couldn't quite grasp. But of course, the soul, you know, the soul knows all that. But anyway, let's move on to another picture. I know you've got a couple more. Let's see. We've got the heart and the other Saturn.
Okay, let's go to that one.
Okay, so yeah. Okay, guys, I would say this is the Jupiter. This is your experience of the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, the one that just happened last month.
Yep.
Okay, so you know we've talked about that, the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, where they were aligned within a degree of each other, which was the closest degree it's been in like 800 years. So that was huge. And Jupiter about the planet of expansion and, you know, God consciousness and truth and occult wisdom and spiritual esoteric wisdom. And then Saturn being the taskmaster, the lords of dharma and karma and destiny and all of these great things that we are that is associated with Saturn. So the two of them coming together, every 20 years they come together, but now they, just to, you know, refresh everybody's memory, they have now come together in air signs for the first time in 200 years. So we are moving out of, it's air signs 800 years. So there's, getting all my numbers mixed up.
Yeah, this is an 800 year event.
So so this is an air sign. So when it was last in Aquarius, we had the great cathedrals built, you know, the high Gothic period. So there was that marriage of Jupiter, right? The religion and faith and spirituality married with Saturn is all about structure. So here they had structural breakthroughs in building cathedrals. If you look in your art history, they built the great cathedrals in France and Reims and Chartres and Notre Dame. They invented what's called the flying buttress, which allowed them to build the walls higher, which meant they could have more light come in. So they have these incredible, you know, light like pouring through in the 240 feet high, I think, is the ceiling in the Reims Cathedral in the north of France. So there's all this outrageous, the technology assisting this expansion of consciousness and people would look, you know, they had these dreary little lives as peasants, you know, most of the people there was, you know, they had these, it was a rough, short life in those days. And so this gave them this elevated, this feeling of loftiness and connection with the divine. So they would look up and, you know, if you're ever in those cathedrals, you know, you crane your neck to see the top of the ceiling. So it takes us, like we were talking earlier, taking us out of our small selves and connecting with that larger self. So here we are again. Now it's going to be happening, and this Jupiter-Saturn conjunction being this portal.
But it was
it was
a dawn of like the Renaissance during that time.
Yeah, exactly. That just before the Renaissance. Yeah, it kicked open. That later, the High Gothic period was in the 1300s, and the Renaissance started around early 1400s, or the High Renaissance. I remember don't know how I remember this, but from art history, 1490 to 1526. But the early Renaissance, of course, things happened, took longer in those days, but yeah, it just opened up a whole new era.
Yeah,
So
in
and here,
art and philosophy, knowledge,
right,
in all areas. So it was a
right.
big shift.
Right,
Going
air
in-
sign. Yeah. Oh,
go-
that's true. Yeah. So air signs, sure, because air is all about ideas,
Mhm.
and so with these outrageous advancements, and so here we are again.
Yeah.
We're at that threshold, but it's like you showed at Earth ascending. We're moving even higher and evolving. So
So in
let's take a look
December
at that.
for that conjunction, and I'm sure a lot of people could see it if you looked up in the sky. This was just a couple of weeks ago. You saw both planets together and looked like a big star.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was beautiful. So I came home. I was out that night at a spiritual event, and I came home. And after I came home, boom! All of a sudden, I had this vision, and this vision was shown to me, and that's what we're going to show.
Okay. Let's see. Share screen. I'm going to pull up. This is the Sunny Junction, and here it is. So this is what you were shown?
Yep. And
wow.
This is Jupiter.
He's a big boy.
There's our Saturn. Look at him.
Look, Saturn smiling.
He's got a smile, a smirky little smile.
A smirky smile.
And they were both smiling. And then right behind them, I've never, ever seen this ever. I saw the word joy written
wow
up in the sky. And then I saw behind that, I saw the word beauty. I've never, ever, ever, ever seen words
spelled out in space.
Spelled out. Yeah.
I did. Star Sign Astrology.
That's right. That's right. That's
Mine
right.
came from the Akashic records. I'm really clear about it's where I got my spiritual name. Yeah, but this is.
And then I saw this.
So you saw that out in space. Were they?
Well,
were
actually,
light colors,
it was the vision. It was the vision, and it's again, it's on a mystical level that what happened was shown to me, and this is what happened on a spiritual mystical level. You had these two planets. They're smiling because they know what they're ushering in and what they're doing. They're opening, it's like a portal where this energy just comes flooding through.
Right. Yeah.
And here we had, and I was looking at this.
What are those blobs?
They were like
colors
soft. They were like day glow, but soft spheres of color, and there was color behind. I didn't draw it in because I wanted to just emphasize that these were beautiful spheres of this soft day glow, again, day glow colors. And I realized,
were they light in that color?
They were lighter. And what I realized
were they spheres or lights?
No, there wasn't light. It was like spheres, but they weren't perfectly, as they were spheres, not defined like this. They were more, I defined them as spheres, but it was more, I don't know how to describe it. There was color everywhere. It was like soft background color of beautiful yellow, white light. And then these colors here that were in the foreground, they look like, in my mind, in my sight, they look more prominent, almost like you have a 3D image where a color is projected and it's brighter because it's in the foreground, but in the background it's diffused, so it's not as bright. Sure.
Yeah,
that's what this was. These spheres, which were not really spheres in themselves, but they were like the projection, the end of the projection or the forefront of that light, that day glow light.
Wow.
And I looked at it in this, in my experience, I'm looking at all of this, and then I realized, oh my gosh, this is the Milky Way. This is the Milky Way sending this energy. This is from the Milky Way.
Oh, wow.
This is him. This is his energy, because it's the same as that, the day glow, that you
had years and years ago.
Yeah, that I had years and years ago.
So there was the day glow again.
Yeah, but
wow.
it's more than the image. It's the feeling, the essence, the love. It's the love from the Milky Way galaxy.
Wow.
He was sending and projecting his love.
And you saw the words joy and beauty.
And I actually saw these two words written out
spelled out.
Yeah,
Wow.
spelled out. But this is the manifestation of the love sent from the Milky Way galaxy. These
like a visual manifestation
yeah,
of love.
These
and
beautiful
and the planets had smiling faces on them?
They had smile.
Wow.
I didn't see their eyes.
Okay.
I didn't see their eyes. That's just for, just
artistic
so people,
license.
Yeah, there you go. Just so people get an idea that yes, they are live beings. They're alive beings, and it's a live being here. So they're looking at you. But I did see them smiling. They were both smiling. It was really, really neat. And after this, I was, and again, this is spontaneous. I was right in it and saw it. And then, okay, so you see joy. So I looked up joy because you don't hear the word joy in conversation very often. So I looked up, okay, what's the difference between joy and happiness? Joy is manifested internally. It's a spiritual, it's a spiritual emotion. It happens internally, where happiness is a reaction, a result of an external event or situation.
Okay, yeah. The joy is generated from within.
That's right.
It's like a presence, like it's you being present to
your divinity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's that joy.
Nice.
And for us, and for this word to be illustrated up there in front of me, it's like, okay, that's a definite significance. Remember folks, this happened on the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. Nice. During that portal. So what it's saying is this is the time to be joyful meaning in a spiritual way. It's again, the opening of your spiritual, joyful divinity. Center, that's inside of you. That's generated from within. From within. Yeah. And then beauty is everywhere, and beauty, I have Libra rising, so I'm big on beauty. and I love beautiful colors. I love beauty. I love nature because it's beautiful, and anything beautiful, I love beauty. Right. And so when I see beauty, it's like, okay, beauty. There's beauty in nature. There's beauty everywhere you look. There's beauty, and this is the ushering in. That conjunction, this energy came in. This is what this is what we received during that conjunction. That's the gift. Wow. That's the gift. And
joy and beauty. Yeah, I love it.
And love from the Milky Way galaxy. And they're smiling because they brought it, their conjunction, that they created that portal.
They brought it to us.
Yeah, allowing that to come in.
It brought to you by our sponsors.
Brought to you by Jupiter and Saturn.
Right. Our sponsors for this television show is Jupiter and Saturn.
Yeah.
Right on the heels of that fabulous solar eclipse. So there's a solar eclipse is like Milky Way, hello. And then Jupiter, Saturn jump in. Like really, think about it. Like the Milky Way, the solar eclipse conjunct the galactic center of the Milky Way was a few days before.
That's right. And that's him. Wow. Sending his love in. Sending his love. So for people to realize that this energy is here. This energy is here right now. We're this is not like a one-time event. This is like an opening. All this energy just goes through and it's here. It's here. It's here. So for us to be in it and be open to it, receive it, be in it, experience it. And I also experienced at that moment that it's like spiritually we took a step up the ladder, like energetically we took another step. We stepped up the ladder and we stepped up on a higher rung of a ladder. All of us, right? All of us, the frequency on Earth, and all of us. That's what I experienced along with this. It was really evident that we've actually, we both feet are on the next rung on that ladder. Nice. A higher rung. Nice. You were going to say something? Yeah, no, I was thinking, it's just escaped me for the moment, but, yes, I remember now. It was just saying that part of I'm thinking of
I mean, you said about your Libra rising and you love beauty. Well, Venus is in a trine with Uranus. I had mentioned it briefly in the previous podcast. Venus in Capricorn trine Uranus in Taurus, earth signs. And the Venus trine Uranus could be, you know, between that and Mercury squaring Uranus and Mars squaring Uranus, we could have some very sudden, like you had that bolted out of your body into the Milky Way.
Mhm.
You know, we could have some sudden, you know, on the dark side of that is, you know, these protests, you know, and the things in the news, but it can also, we, again, looking at the bright side of things, we could be seeing encounters, ET encounters with our own selves, or in our minds, or with our thoughts and ideas and attitudes, and mercurial, you know, interesting meetups with these energies. So I'm thinking this could also open the door to that for this particular this week coming, and then next month is a whole nother very it's pretty outrageous. The new moon in February, was it February 10th or February 11th? The new moon's going to have like 7 or 8 planets in Aquarius, sun and moon and, you know, Mercury, and it's just gonna, it's outrageous. And Aquarius is, you know, it's ruled in ancient astrology by Saturn, and in modern astrology by Uranus. So there it is again. Saturn and Uranus will be squaring off with each other. So the Saturn energy and the Uranus energy, this is a change of the ages. You know, Saturn rules those things of like the legacy and the ages. You know, I think of like Rock of Ages, you know, that's so Saturnian, and this turning of the ages, and it's something that you don't see coming. That's very Uranian, very something from the future that just, you know, comes up out of nowhere. Very, you know, divine, outrageous, can be shocking revelation. So, and very liberating. Uranus is always, you know, they call Uranus, we call it the great liberator in astrology. So, you know, you're never the same again after that, and in a good way, you know, I mean, and if it does feel jolty, like let's say somebody loses their job, it's because that's an old energy that has been holding us back. It'll break the chains of where we've been enslaved, you know, so you may not see it as that, or the egoic, the limited part of ourselves, but in hindsight, looking back, it's like, oh yeah, thank God, you know, there's something there, thank goddess, where, yeah. So
and so everything that you're saying is
I get this back here.
Everything that you're saying is are the planets are working together for their own spiritual advancement, their own mystical advancement.
The planets are, yeah.
I mean, all of these things that are happening, you know,
it's
really
all interrelated.
Yeah,
it's like
I mean,
a giant tapestry.
This is not accidental. This has been planned.
Yeah, right. It's part of this divine.
It's the divine, you know, because all these mystical events that I've experienced, they're not accidental. The planets don't just kind of align themselves and have these conjunctions and all this stuff, you know, just by accident. They're doing this on purpose to help, you know, the neighborhood, remember the neighborhood, advance.
It's a good day in the neighborhood.
Yeah, it is a good day in the neighborhood, and for us being here on Earth, you know, to also advance and go beyond where we are now. It's like it cannot be and stay the way it is.
Oh, and funny when you say that. What I thought of was, you know, the eclipses in Gemini and Sagittarius. Well, Gemini, you know, that's Mercury ruled. That's neighborhoods. And then Sagittarius is these higher, like you said, this occult wisdom, and it's just blending the two, integrating. Like you know, our neighborhoods are bigger than what you realize, and when you have that experience, what you thought of was your neighborhood it's never the same. Eclipses always bring. It's the end of one chapter and it's the beginning of another. So you want to talk about neighborhoods, like let's show you a real neighborhood.
Yeah.
We're going to show you Milky Way.
Yeah.
We're going to show you
neighborhood.
Yeah, only the best neighborhoods for everybody.
Yeah.
And Saturn smiling, you know, even that's just worth the
I'm telling you,
worth the price of admission.
Yeah, he was smiling. He was smiling.
And I tell that to people in sessions. I said, when they're going through a tough Saturn transit, I mean, look, I know I've been through many Saturn transits. It's not easy, but I've learned to see my friend. But I used to tell people who are like, oh, it feels so heavy. I'm like, yes. And I want you to take a piece of paper and in big black magic marker, I want you to write on this paper and tape it to your wall. Saturn is my friend. Saturn is my friend. Repeat after me. Saturn is my Saturn is my friend. And Saturn, my teacher Andrew used to say, one of my first teachers, he used to say, Saturn rewards effort.
That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, Saturn rewards. So that's the big sign I'd say you put on the wall. Saturn rewards effort. So keep on keeping on. And right now with that Saturn square Uranus, it's like, what effort are we going to make to meet with change, where revolutionary change, innovative, genius, ET, come from the future, paradigm dissolving, paradigm busting change? Are we willing to work for that? And what kind of structures that will last, that will be lasting for this kind of shift, and don't be, don't flip it off, like really build something of lasting value in that vein.
And as these things happen, to be in the high vibe, the light vibe, the love vibe, the happy vibe, to be connected to your spiritual self, in your spiritual practices, in your mystical self, so you can ride on that, on the exciting breakthroughs that are going to happen, that are happening.
Yeah, because with Saturn in Capricorn would about preserving the past, old ancient traditions of the past. But Saturn in the air sign of Aquarius squaring Uranus, which is also, rules Aquarius, it's like build something that's coming from the future, build something futuristic, build something that's going to liberate yourself, society, in your own personal life. So yeah.
Coming from the future.
Yeah.
Our future selves.
Yeah. Like maybe a good practice then, considering what we're saying here is, sit with yourself, call in your future self, and then ask like you have Goddess Galactica as an aspect of your future self, but everyone has a Goddess Galactica or
everyone
Lord
has a
God
future
Galactica.
Self.
Yeah. And call in whatever, and maybe they have a name, and just engage with that future self, and then ask the future self, well, what do you want to see here? Like drop the past and come from the future into the present, and say, okay, what do we want to build that's going to be really worthwhile?
And it's interesting that we're saying this, because I've had tons of these mystical experiences, and one of them I actually there's a lot of things on Earth. Well, Earth, I guess, in that poster, the Earth evolving, that we just showed,
Yes.
Evolving.
Earth's ascension or evolving.
Talk about future self. We have a lot of that we have the future Earth. We have it. And I've experienced it. I've experienced aspects of the future Earth on the Earth.
Wow.
In mystical experiences.
And what have you, anything you want to share with us, and what that looked like, or what?
Once I was on the West Coast in Oregon, and it was again it was in 2003 or 2004, and it was a major galactic event. It could have been a special eclipse. It was at least a special eclipse, but I don't remember which event it was. But anyway, I was very fortunate to be on the ocean, and on a private beach on the ocean, and I went at night. And so I was there, doing some prayers and stuff. And anyway, so I was about to leave the ocean, and I looked, and on the sand, and it was at that moment, the sky was clouds covered the whole sky, so we couldn't see the stars anymore. It was all cloud cover. And so I looked and on the sand, and I saw this big rectangular magic box this is the second time in my life that I've experienced a magic box. It was an actual rectangle, a rectangle that was white on the sand. It was like somebody cut a hole in the clouds in the form of a perfect rectangle, and light shone through.
Wow.
And it was right there in the sand. And
that's outrageous.
It was outrageous. And I experienced magic. I call it intuitively as, oh, it's a magic box. Well, I had experienced that once before, several years prior, in another state. So I immediately, and it was pretty big on the beach. So I immediately went up to the magic box and I put.
I love that you call it a magic box.
Yeah,
so cool.
Yeah, it was a magic box. And I knelt down and I put my hands down on the sand and I just started praying. And as I was praying, suddenly I looked up into the ocean, and it wasn't far off the coast where I was, but I saw this mountain range just shoot up and out of the ocean. And, that's pretty shocking too.
Whoa.
And it had the mountain, the peaks were really kind of jagged like this, jagged. It wasn't rounded, how some mountains are rounded. This was really jagged, different jagged. And it was dripping with this ancient, futuristic, amazing energy. And it was like it was ancient because it was from the future. And you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And as you were saying that, it just made me experience that, yeah, we've got that future is part of the earth.
Yeah.
You know
what? Oh, I didn't mean to
Go ahead.
There's something. As you're saying that, what I remembered is when Edgar Cayce talked about Atlantis rising and Lemuria rising. So I know many people are familiar with Atlantis and may not know about Lemuria. So I'm just going to say Lemuria was like the Pacific coast, the Pacific Ocean version. Atlantis was had been in where we know as the Atlantic. Lemuria covered most of where the Pacific Ocean is now was actually the continent of Lemuria, and Hawaii is one of the few places on Earth, and I believe many of the South Sea islands like Tahiti and Bora Bora and Tonga, I feel that they are also originally, part of the landmass of Lemuria that is still standing in this dimension. But Edgar Cayce, also known as the sleeping prophet, he would go into trance, of course, and download a lot of this stuff. And he said that in the times of the earth changes that Atlantis would return. Now you can take that in many ways, and Lemuria, I believe too, so yes, the consciousness would return, and I think we're seeing that now, but it could also just be shifting in the land masses. But like when you said it came up out of the earth, I don't know, I feel that. Do you think it's going to actually show up as landmass in the future or now?
I mean, it did.
Yeah, like you did see it.
Yeah, I did see it.
You were in another dimensional frame.
I was in the mystical, but it just shot up.
Oh yeah, something too. The Uranus, Saturn-Uranus square could also be a tectonic shifting of Earth plates. Yeah, because Taurus is the Earth and Uranus is sudden changes. With a square with Saturn, you could see shifting, seismic and tectonic plates is what I'm hearing. Yeah.
Well,
you can almost expect it. I'm just going to say we're going to see some volcanic eruptions and tectonic shifting this year. I would think too. Like any of these places that has like last year and the year before, we saw seismic shifting happening in Yellowstone that had not been seen in like 30, 40 years or 60 years even. The Steamboat geyser erupted after decades of being, so there's many places. Was it Vesuvius or wherever it was
that we had in Iceland? Remember that?
Oh, right. That one in Iceland. But then just recently, there was one in, was it Indonesia that people, it was either that or Italy or both. Yeah. So I'm just saying that, you can expect to see more of that tectonic shifting. And then the physicality of Mother Earth, as she shifts, she's the physical reflection of our shift in consciousness. So as we shift, the Earth shifts, and I remember my teachers used to say, weather is consciousness. Weather is consciousness. So that's when we're seeing all this crazy, storms and temperatures dropping 30 and 40 degrees overnight. It never used to happen. It's just this buildup
And if we
and
can get our
shift.
consciousness into, in my experience, it's just all about our connection to the divine, to God.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's really what it comes
that.
down
Yeah,
to.
that's the bottom line. Our God connection, our connection to God, our connection to the
To the
divine.
divine. Yeah.
That's what it's all about. And again, the planets are the same, because they're
Planets are the
live
same.
beings, and it's there. And just God wants us, I mean, this we're in the final act of the play on Earth,
Right.
and we're at the climax,
Right.
and after the climax, we move into the beauty, the joy, the magnificent, the New Jerusalem.
Right, the New Jerusalem. They
Mhm.
talk about that in the Keys of Enoch, the New Jerusalem. Yeah, wow.
And in the Bible.
Yeah.
Mhm. So if we can stay centered in our hearts, and now we can go to the next.
Oh, we got one more picture.
Yeah.
Hold on.
The little heart.
The little heart. Oh, right, the heart. Okay, let's go pull up that heart. And let's see. Here we are. Here's the heart. Oh.
So this.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah, this is the way to the mystical. You to be in your heart, and there is a little keyhole in our hearts, and that's the doorway or the pathway or the entrance way to be in the mystical. Because what we found is that we can't get into the mystical. It's not a head thing, it's a heart thing. To go into your heart, to be in love in your heart. And that's
is this a message you got from when you saw the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, or just something
no
else?
this is what I've always known.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a nice one to end on.
Yeah, that's the way to get into the mystical.
key
So
to
if
the heart.
anybody wants to be in a mystical realm or have mystical experiences, you need to be in your heart, because that's the only. And you see, you go right through that little hole there, and that's where the light is, and that's where the mystical is.
I love that. That's so cool. And it's like all those higher mysteries and the esoteric wisdom. It's love is the fabric in which all of that, it occurs in that context of love. You can't do it via the intellect. I know.
That's right.
In the Kabbalah, they talk about how you have to approach that in that right framework of mind, no mind, really. Just you have to have that. There's a certain frequency where the mysteries reveal themselves, and if you're in your head about it, it won't open. It just doesn't open.
That's right.
And it won't. And as a matter of fact, if you were really in your head, it could actually drive people very disturbed, like mentally, throw them right off the cliff. So, just to be really aware of that. It's a responsibility, but it's also, it's just the way it is, that it can only be approached through the heart, and that's the humility and sincerity, a sincere heart.
Yeah, and it's the love. It's the love. It's where God is.
Yeah.
It's your connection to God. It's your connection to love, and it is your connection to the mystical realm and the higher energies, the higher frequencies.
I love that. It looks like a giant Valentine. Look at that. You can give yourself a Valentine gift.
Yeah, and that's coming up.
Yeah, that's coming up. Right. It's right a few days after that wild and crazy Aquarian new moon.
Yeah, the whammy.
Yeah.
The whammy.
You don't need Mr. Right or Ms. Right. You just get an ET or somebody to hook up. We're married to the light. We break out of all those boxes and reinvent ourselves newly. Well, cool.
Yeah.
That's been quite a ride. I am so glad that we had this parlay together.
Yeah,
this has been so necessary and
fun.
Fun, I know. Fun and timely, and sure to be used. Tune in anytime you happen to catch this video, even if it's long after the events of January of 2021. It's universal wisdom, so has no expiration date.
That's right. That's right.
Is there, so if people want to get a session with you or anything like that in that nature, you have an email address so they can contact
Yeah,
you?
we can put it. A couple of things I want to tell people. If you
Yeah.
want to, I talked about my TV show, Goddess Galactica. I have some YouTube videos. I did like about 40 shows, 40 episodes. So what I'm doing slowly, slowly but surely, I'm going through the different episodes to pull out uh, segments that I feel are really important for people to see right now. I mean,
Cool.
each show was fantastic, entertaining, educational.
Funny.
Yes, funny, but a lot of good information. But two of the shows are the present shows that you can see on YouTube. But the only reason I'm saying this is one of the clips. It's a short clips, and it's about thought forms. And we were talking briefly about thought forms, and I thought that'd be a good one for people to see, because I really illustrated it nicely, so people get a visual image of thought forms and how they're attracted to us, and how you create them, and what happens if you're in a negative thought form. And I feel it's very important, especially now, because we're being bombarded with a lot of negativity out in the world, which we're not of. We're, we don't we don't belong to the world, but anyway.
Pay no attention to that
Yeah,
negative thought.
that's right.
The man behind the curtain.
And then I had another clip from the Mars. There was a Mars alignment in 2003 where Mars was closer to the Earth than it had been in 60,000 years. I don't know if you remember that.
Wow.
But that was really neat, and that's really entertaining, but it's actually true what I experienced. So that clip is up there if people want to see it.
Cool. Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, and also if is some these light messages, it's something that I'm offering to people where again, you spoke about your experience in speaking the language of light, and how it puts you into that other cosmic realm. Well, I do that if somebody has a question about something. Usually they want guidance on some aspect of their life. I've had people want guidance on their business, just where to go, just whatever you feel you need guidance on. If you feel drawn to this, through the language of light, just up in that cosmic realm, the information comes out for the individual. So I'm offering that. And then another service, which is, it's kind of funny, you would think of all this spiritual mystical stuff, and this is like really down to earth.
Literally down to earth.
Literally down to earth. Personal organizing. I'm a professional personal organizer, where you have anything going on in your house, whether it's your room, your office, your closet, your refrigerator, your garage, whatever. That's a mess, because I love taking chaos and making it orderly. I mean, it is something that I really enjoy. And I was, when I compared it to what was going on now in the earth, about how it's all that dirt that's in the corner, we're just sweeping it out.
Sure.
The reason I really enjoy doing this type of work is because I'm working, not only I'm working physically on a physical level, dealing with stuff that's in the room or in your house, but there's a mental, emotional, and spiritual aspect to it. So when you actually clean, and I assist people in making a plan of how to get organized and remain organized, so I don't have to keep assisting them. You know what I mean? To get organized.
Yeah.
We create a plan based on where they are in their lifestyle, in their phase of life. So we create a plan, and so that they can always remain organized. But it is a spiritual, it is very spiritual to me.
Yeah, because you're helping people create sacred space. When a place is clean and orderly, you can feel those higher dimensions.
That's right.
It's very difficult to feel it when you're living in clutter.
That's right.
When I let my room get too messy or something, I as soon as I clean it up, it's like woof.
That's right.
Feel what a shift.
Yeah, that's right. It definitely, on many levels, it opens it up. So, Pro personal organizer. We'll pull.
Pro-personal organizer.
Yeah, well, that's a email. So we'll post underneath the
Yeah.
email for and all this information if people are interested. But before we sign off, I thought it'd be nice to say a prayer for everybody.
Sure, yeah.
You know, a
Pull up
blessing.
a little closer because you kind of like, I don't know, like the shifting tectonic plates. You're like,
Yeah, I'm
"Where are you?
I'm going back here.
No, don't fall over." All right, so let's do it. All right. So, do you like to say it in English or the language of light, or what calls to you?
Well, do you want to do language of light first and then English? Whatever you want.
Oh yeah, I always
You want to do English first and then
you could do, yeah. I'm not feeling anything one way or the other. It's all good.
okay.
But I know my wish in prayer is for everyone to just be so, to keep that whole joy equation, to keep growing joy in your heart. That's my wish for all of you, is to keep growing joy for all of us. This is that beautiful divine presence, and as the Buddhists would call it, emptiness and radiant emptiness. Yeah.
I just want to bless everybody that's hearing this and receiving this information, and I just want to bless them. I want to bless them spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically, and just say a prayer for open hearts to be open to divine light, divine love, divine truth, and divine grace that is here for us. It is here. It is open. It's ready. It's like the divinity of God is here massively. And I just say a prayer and a blessing that all those that are listening, that their hearts are open now, that on a cellular level, all of them receive this divine healing and divine light, divine love, divine truth, and divine grace for all. I want to bless all of you multidimensionally throughout time and space, everyone that's listening. And again, making a proclamation and an affirmation that all those that are listening receive this divine love and divine light that is here on our planet, that is being showered down on us continuously and in a grand scale. And I bless all of you and proclaim that all of you receive this now. Harinda chako chopoke pipitine chichikita pakara korongo chichipepera tangaras chokoro orongi chichipankara dasterera takereta pankoro stikiri pikera tinkiras takara karongo pupupushtikinemera.
Yay.
The end.
Yay. And with that, now that. Yay. I told you it was going to be a great episode. Yay. Thank you so much. It was awesome. Yay.
Oh, it was wonderful.
So, yay. So with it, in our next episode, it's going to be hard to top this one, but I'll keep trying. So yeah, thank you so much. I loved it. I'm so glad, and I'm sure you can always come back and share more stories, and
I'll bring songs.
Yeah. Bring your guitar.
Yeah,
we can sing.
Songs.
I had a little sample of that. It was literally, I listened in a car. She played a recording for me recently, just the other day, and I almost had to pull the car over. I was so moved emotionally. I was just blown away. So it's singing like I've never heard before. So definitely not from this dimension, but coming through, right? Kind of like the wizard world, Hagrid coming on his motorcycle. Hey, guess what? There's a bigger reality here, and we're here. So
it's the beauty and the joy.
Yeah, the beauty and the joy. Yeah, it is beauty and joy. So thank you so much. Yay.
Oh, thank you, Liliana. Bye, folks.
Yay, bye for now. And this is Star Sound Speaks. This has been episode 82. Woo, woo, woo. And we will see you next time. Many, many blessings. This
Indeed.
Irliana Samsara, Star Sound Astrology, Star Sound Speaks. Thank you all for listening. Namaste. Namaste.